Hey there, folks. Welcome to our run of Alas for the Awful Sea, inspired by G. Willow Wilson and Christian Ward's Invisible Kingdom. Before starting in on things, I want to do a round of introductions for folks watching. If you could give your name, your pronouns, and who you're playing, that would be great. We'll start with me and then follow the character keeper order. I am Steven, he, him. I am the GM for this run. You can find me at Steven Alligator, but you'll mostly just find these runs, which you're already here. So yeah, if we could then jump over and Chet, if you want to introduce yourself, your pronouns, and who you're playing.
Sure thing. Hi, I'm Chet. I use he, him, or they, them pronouns, and today I am playing Blyss, but that's mixed Blyss to you. They're the bosun of the ship, and right now sort of the de facto captain while the captain is out. They have violet skin marked with craggy wrinkles. They've seen some stuff. Tired eyes with lots of lines. Always seem to have a stern expression. And we'll see how that interaction works out with the crew.
Wait. So, just to clarify, last session, during that conversation with Panix, there was a stern expression on your face the entire conversation.
The entire time.
Okay, I'm yes. Glad to know that we are retroactively adding that to that scene.
Yeah, I think that was added to the awkwardness of that situation.
Great. Sorry, Dunna, if you wanted to take over.
No, I have all the time for the Panax Blyss dramatic arc. Turning it up to 11 is good for me.
Absolutely.
My name is Dunna. My pronouns are he, him. I'm playing Maze, who uses she, her, or they, them pronouns. She is the ship's surgeon and general confidant to her patients or friends aboard the ship. She has gray skin and gold flecks across it, as you know, as befits her rare species, the Beazul. I think last week we saw her step outside the bounds a little bit, doing a favor for the captain who's in sickbay behind Bliss's back, and with Panax as her ally to deliver a shipment, to these wonderful folk who live in the Aurelian cluster. So, yeah. More of which anon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I am Dana, pronounced she, her, and I'm playing Zarza, also pronounced she, her. She's the strider for the ship and recently a little bit of everything. Like we see her doing some space walk for repairs and finding a body and helping Maze carry them and like all sort of things on the ship. She's an Avery, that's a plant-based species, and she's a very aware Avery. Like she pretends like all Avery should found each other and be connected, and she has this. All Avery share this like psychic connection with each other, but some of them don't enjoy that and cut off from that connection. And Zarza is very much pushing that connection and trying to find things in the connection, and she's like, let that guide that thing is what guided her to this ship.
Cool, yeah. And finally, this game is hosted through the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is an online game community mostly focusing on role playing games of the indie and OSR varieties. Besides publishing a zine called The Codex, it also puts out several podcasts about role playing games. And of course, it organizes a gaming calendar, which this and many other games organize through every month. The calendar is open to non-members, so feel free to jump on over there through the link below if you're interested in playing with any of the folks here tonight or any of the other people on the Gauntlet. All Gauntlet games make use of an open door policy. We are all here to have fun and tell a story together. If something happens in real life or you become uncomfortable at the table, feel free to step away as long as you need. No one will hold it against you, and you are free to return whenever you feel ready. If you're able to let the group know if and when you expect to return, that would be helpful for the rest of us in terms of framing scenes, but we understand that sometimes emergencies happen and that's not always possible. Besides the open door, we also make use of several other safety tools that I'm not going to get into too much detail about. The first of these is the X card. If you need to excise something from the fiction for any reason, feel free to make an X sign in the chat with your hands, say X card. We'll probably ask what you are X carding, but there is no need to explain beyond that. We also are making use of script change. Script change is a safety tool that makes use of sort of video editing terminology to help us talk about the fiction, whether to pause, for us to take a break, talk about where the scene is at, fast forward to say, hey, maybe we can skip over this torture scene or this explanation of our ship's propulsion system and work out in broad details what happens in this scene and move on to the next thing. And step by step, which asks us to sort of proceed very carefully in the scene, and rewind, which has us kind of jump back and retcon something in the fiction. And finally, we're also making use of lines and veils, which is a living document we put together. We put together before play and check back in on each session. That just asks us to pay special attention to particular themes particular themes in the fiction that we want to be careful with or avoid entirely. The folks here are all have been part of this run for a long time. They have been in a lot of stuff on the Gauntlet, but I just want to check in. Our folks there again, as they are all like familiar with the safety tools as I described them, right? Cool, awesome. So yeah, that wraps us up on our kind of opening spiel. And the last time we had left off, there were a couple things that had happened last time. We got a little bit into this in introductions, but you had made port at the Aurelian Crown, which is a sort of ring circling a gas giant. It has various kind of small planetoids and meteors that have some amount of breathable atmosphere on them. You put in port at one of the larger ones that hosts the kind of main office of the Exaba Corporation. The mining corporation, which I don't know if we made it clear, this is the mining corporation that was definitely did business on the Abri homeworld. And is currently running mining operations here in the Aurelian Crown. There is some union conflict going on. With the corporation and the union having enlisted some of our characters for on each side. But where I kind of wanted to open in on things on is I think we kind of get an establishing shot of, I think some of the hunters of the jellyfish, because we did establish there are giant jellyfish that live within the space jellyfish that live within the Aurelian crown that are eaten as a foodstuff. I'm curious, as we see the hunters beginning to get ready for the day. I'm wondering what special yeah what like special equipment do we see them preparing as they are going to depart to hunt for their food for the day, Zarza?
I think they have like some special nets, like to capture them. Like maybe it's some sort of weird technology that emits some waves or some like current to tranquilize the creatures.
Oh, great. And I do just like the idea that this is like the actual nets like are just entirely like if this was like a comic page, like the actual like netting between the actual netting would all be like done in like energy style, like it wasn't actually physical.
Yeah,
Um
sure.
yeah. And as they kind of and as we sort of see flash to the ship like with like flying through a cluster of these space jellies, mixed Blyss, why don't you tell us how the crew of the ship uh works as one to bring in a haul?
Yeah. So the um, Fast Folly is a ship that's has to be pretty much ready for anything. Because we haul stuff, we hunt stuff, we yeah, all my we do all sorts of runs, whatever we can do to bring in the money. And this is not the first time the cruise worked to bring in some exotic creatures. So we see everyone has their station and they know what their job is. Like we have let's see, we have like one person over on the tractor beam station. We have two people working the tractor beam. They have to work in sync so that they can like corral one of these creatures. There's probably like, because they are like semi spacefaring. There's a they detect radio signals, so there's someone actually has to be on communications to sort of jam their communication a little bit, like their organic communication. And everyone is, I think I'm probably calling out orders for maneuvering. Hard aport. 16 degrees. Steady now. Heading forward. Steady now. That sort of thing. and everybody's just, it's a well-oiled machine.
Cool. And I think just to, well, yeah, we'll get in a sec. But finally, I kind of think as we see another ship that has fared more poorly today, returning to port, I'm wondering what what injuries or damage to the ship do we see of a run-in that ended up of a hunt that ended up going poorly?
I mean, I think I like to imagine that these jellyfish have these, not like real jellyfish, these giant trails after them that maybe charge with electricity or some kind of very intense disruption. And I think we can see, like, maybe inside the ship, every fuse box or whatever the equivalent is blown, and maybe we can see injuries to some of the crew who were like on exposed metal when those jellyfish electrical charges went through the ship. Yeah, I think classic Flash Gordon electricity is everywhere. Cascading across the ship. And I mean, I think maybe they just got unlucky, because if it's a normal ship that's used to doing this stuff, maybe they have Faraday cages to protect from that electricity, but maybe it's just running old, and there's faults in the system, and you really need to bring in a good haul to repair that kind of stuff. So maybe it was worse than they imagined when they went out.
Right. Cool. So yeah. And as we cut away from this day of fishing, because, well, yeah, as we cut away from this day of fishing, I want to go over, and I'm wondering, Zarza, how have you, like, once the ship made port, we did not see much of Zarza. Where has Zarza been? What has Zarza been up to at port?
I believe like Zarza is like this is her first time in this planet, and I believe like she would like to know what is is there other Abri here? Is like some special like vegetation, something like I think I would describe it as she's like attuning to the planet in some way. Like she's trying to understand it, and like I think she's also very interested in the hunting of these jellyfishes. And
Cool. So it sounds like you're tapping into innate compass here.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Like back 5 minutes with the group, and you're already rolling. Good precedent.
11.
Cool. Yeah. 11. You know where. Yeah, you find it, and you're there if you want to be. I assume you want to be, but I guess I will tell you that, like, there's definitely the sense you get is well, the way you described it, I will kind of give you this extra tidbit of information, that there are no Abri, but there is definitely a kind of concentration of the kind of plant life and native plant life of the Abri homeworld in the Exabo Corporation offices, which is something we went into last time that Mardine had gone on about. Being the curator of the Abri homeworld by biodiversity. But the actual Abri that you feel the connection to are largely concentrated in the kind of refugee shanties that have been set up since along the kind of I guess we might say are the sort of fishing docks, the docks that don't serve the shipping containers coming in, but more the docks that serve as the launching point for these fishing vessels. And are you there? Are you there, or because it's cool?
Yeah. I would like to speak to the Sabri, see how they feel about this whole operation going on.
Yeah, and definitely as we open, there is a crew, you'd note down here, the crew of these vessels are predominantly Abri. And there is, in particular, I think, your attention is drawn to a large Abri woman who is with kind of deep blue skin, who is definitely, we might say, the mixed Blyss of this fishing crew, kind of shouting orders to check the nets for damages to their sonic interweave mesh. Make certain that the engines are prepped and properly insulated. She has, you can tell as you get closer, kind of, I'd say almost like a scarring, but I imagine it's more almost like the growth of a plant after like a burn. Like along the right side of her face from an old wound. And she looks over at you as you're approaching, and who are you? Don't recognize the face. Don't look like one of my crew.
Do you think this person is older than me?
Oh yeah, she like you. I believe we said Zarza is relatively youngish.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is definitely older than you.
I would like approach her and say like, "Hi, Auntie. I'm new here. I'm with the crew of. Oh, if I only remember the name of our ship.
It is. We have locked in, at least for now, is the Fast Folly.
I would say I'm new here. I'm with the crew of the Fast Folly. We're just arrived. And I would signal like I think I carry like a belt with all this hunting equipment, and I would say like, can I be helpful to you?
I think that, like, what kind of hunting equipment have you brought with you? Do you think you would have brought anything that is actually kind of you, like, we kind of went into how there's very specialized equipment used to hunt these jellies. Is this anything? Do you think you would have brought anything that would be useful here?
I think like if I knew of the jellyfish, like if there is something that is known about this planet, like there is this jellyfish, I think I will for sure. Like I think Zarza is very interested in hunting things to eat, so maybe some like shot. I think like I don't think some blunt weapons are the thing to hunt these jellyfishes. Like I think some like stun weapons or some electrified things.
Yeah, I'm even thinking like, because we talked about how they're electrified, like maybe there's even like some kind of like harpoon with like grounding wire or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that she does. She looks over your various accoutrements and says, "Well, I don't usually see these often carried by folks new here. It looks like you know your business more than most spacers passing through. Are you looking to sign on with the crew for a day's labor, or
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I would like to learn something about it, and if I can be helpful to you all, that would be great.
cool?" And I think she like assigns you to she nods and says, "Well, pays at the end of the day, and dependent upon our a share it's a share of the take that we draw in, but get to work and do your job, and I'll do my best to keep you safe." And she gives you a pat on the shoulder, and the name's Centea.
Great. My name's Zarza. You got it, Auntie.
What was that?
As I said, like you got it. Like
Oh, you got it. Okay, sorry. I was just trying. It was coming garbled to me. Um, and I think as you are working, I am just going to kind of bring this in here. There is, there comes striding in through the docks here, a group of, let's see, who are the other characters we had here? I'd say a pair of Temurians, and I think probably what is most eye-catching is that their companion is a Beazle, who is Maze is the only other Beazle you have probably ever seen, because they are not very much a part of the kind of galactic community, but they are the head of them, a man who you can see is wearing a kind of, definitely, I think the thing you note is that he's wearing a pistol that looks like a kind of service blaster of the military. Is kind of shouts loudly, "Well, now, looks like we have a lot of folk here who are doing quite hard work for not much pay. Me and my crew are looking for laborers who are willing to engage in some alternative mining solutions to our current predicament with the Union. Sign on with us, and you'll get 2-day double pay for the day." And Centea definitely is giving this group a glowering look, and kind of gives a nod to the folk under her. Don't trust any words that come out of their mouths. They don't do the kind of labor that cares about the safety of the crew involved. Do you do anything, Zarza?
I think if like I'm still next to Centella, I would like to ask her more about these types. Like, are they searching for scabs? Like they think we are gonna like do their shop when there's clearly a problem with the previous workers.
I she gives a kind of a bit of a kind of sad sigh. the situation here in the Aurelian crown is complicated. There's, well, with the recent loss of that outlying colony, there are a lot of miners come into here, and it means that it means that in the end they put a lot of the Abri that used to have jobs here out of work. And there's a lot more willingness to do scab work than I'd like to admit. People are desperate and they'll do even jobs they know aren't right, jobs that they know are likely to get them hurt or killed, if it means they can get some food for their family.
I see. And these types that are searching for works, like why aren't paying well? Like, is this not a productive planet? Is this not good work?
The planet produces, certainly, but well, actually, no, I don't think this is necessarily, this is definitely not charged with this NPC, so I'm not going to call for read another's thoughts here. There's certainly work to be had here, but the Exiba Corporation makes certain that there's always just enough work here to keep the planet productive, but not enough that every miner that needs it is going to get a job. It's why you see so many folks trying to take to these fishing ships, even though I know I don't pay as good as any of the mining companies do.
I was thinking like maybe like trying to address the thing that about the plans from our homeworld, like maybe like ask her like do you feel it too, like the plans here, like the corporation has it some resource from our homeworld?
She looks at you. I'd be lying if I said I didn't, but look, you're new here, Zarza. You don't antagonize the Exiba Corporation. The union's doing a lot of that already, and it's my feeling that if we Abri keep our head down, we won't get any of their anger turned on us.
I can't but feel like we should be backing the union in this, but I trust your judgment, Nandi.
She nods. The union has their heart in the right places, but I've seen this sort of thing before. A lot of people are going to get, when the corporation's had enough, a lot of people are going to get hurt and killed, and we'll not be any place better off than we are now.
I think I would mind do the work and like finish my day job before reporting this to Mason Blyss.
Yeah, and I guess I did want to check in here. Uh, I do kind of want to check in here that when you act in a manner your kin is known for, I'm wondering, do you feel you've hit on any of that, or do you kind of want to keep that in your back pocket for now?
Hmm. Yeah, I think I'm acting like I think like I sort of treat Centella with familiarity and like and I think that is the every way but I don't know if yeah, for sure, yeah, why not.
Cool. Give me a roll here with plus beyond then, and we will kind of take that roll and kind of wrap the scene there then.
So then
Cool. So on a 7, you on any hit you get to choose 2. You have knowledge of your kin, you have the clout of your kin, or you have the tools of your kin.
I think the knowledge is like basically what we've been doing here. Like I think I'm asking like for like the Aubrey belief in this situation, and I think I got them. So that for sure, and maybe I don't know. Maybe the cloud makes sense.
Cool. Cool. And on the 7 to 9 you also choose 1. You compromise your kin's position, you make your kin an enemy, or you reveal your kin's weakness.
But the roll was a 10.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said 7. My mistake, 10. My mistake, sorry.
No, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, and I will think that to kind of wrap here, I think that we see some Abri departing with this recruiter. And I think that Centea looks at you and says, it's easy to take rash action, Zarza, but it takes the real strength to hold against the storm instead. Now let's hunt down some of these jellies. And I think as we fade on that, I'm curious. Let's see here. Mixed Blyss, you had made certain promises to Mardine Exaba about
yeah about working counter to the union organizing. And so when I made that promise, I don't think I was really like, I wasn't fully committed on it. you know, I was just saying words to make that little deal happen. And I think they knew that. But they do, like, now they have something on me. To try and hold me to.
Cool. In that case, where do we think we see Blyss has ended up? Does Blyss return to the ship, or?
Yeah. I've come back to the ship along with or I don't know if Ecstasis is with me.
Ecstasis stormed off, if you recall.
Right, yeah. You're right, yeah. So in some measure of exasperation, I come back to the ship because, well, we gotta pay the docking fees somehow. We gotta, we have gotta take on more jobs. We gotta find something to keep us in the sky.
Yeah, and I think that as you come back onto the ship, there is Sky, and she definitely is like, well, not actually Sky. We actually recall now. It's Cora, and she is speaking hurriedly with Sky, and actually, hang on here. Sorry, I am just double checking.
Cora, Sky was the one that was fighting fires when we.
No, yeah. I just wanted to double check. I realized I hadn't. We'll go with they them for Cora for now because I actually didn't have their pronouns down. I thought what we worked out with Ben. But Cora is there, and they are talking hurriedly with Sky, and Cora looks up at you, Blyss, and says, "Blyss, what the hell did you do with my engines?"
Well, we had to burn hard. What do you mean, your engines?
Blyss, this is your crew, but I will have you know that those are my engines that I care for far better than I did any of my 3 children.
Well, that's troubling, but the engines are a tool. And yes, it's your duty to look after and keep them in ship shape, but they are to be put to use. Now,
well, that's what you said. That's funny you say that because these engines are not going to be put to use anytime soon, not unless we get some real money to spend on them. So I'm going to just chime in here, out of character. We recall that I had offered this option to Zarza a few sessions ago.
Yeah.
That whether to repair them right or repair them fast.
Yes. Well, Cora, I don't know what to tell you. Needs must, and we needed to get moving.
Now, needs must is that I think with our captain, sleeping, and she definitely uses the I know what's going on here. Needs must is that I think it's up to some of our commanding officers to go and get me the supplies and money I need to actually repair this. I can't even tell what you were thinking when you welded this thing shut.
And yeah, it's your job to take care of the engines, and it's my job to make sure that we can secure the resources to take care of the engines, and I'm working on it. Now, we put down here because this is a great place to pick up a few jobs. You know, whether it's from Exiba Corp, whether if we need to head out and haul in some of the star jellies, then that's what we got to do.
Or they throw up their hands. Star jelly, sure. We'll just put some star jellies all over my engines, and I'm sure that will make it right as rain. You can come back to me when you can come back to me when you have the money to put where your mouth is, Blyss. Until then, I don't want to see you down in my engine room laying one finger upon any of my sweet babies.
I don't. I think that I feel like my grasp on the crew is waning a little bit. Clearly.
I don't know if Maze is in a position to maybe draw Blyss aside. You know.
Yeah, I was going to ask: Has Maze come back from their totally legitimate meetup?
Mm-hmm.
Because you still haven't actually delivered, if I recall. You just met up with our union organizer.
Yeah, I don't know if we were alighting that, given that we had our fishing trip in between. But yeah, we can do it like that. Blyss, you just gets Cora to get a shopping list together, right? Take care of it.
The shopping list is not what I'm worried about. It's the other side of the balance sheet. I don't know if you've looked at the books, Maze, but we need a good job. This is not. It's hard enough keeping things shipshape in the feast times, but it's even harder in the famine times.
Yeah, listen, Cora just needs some busy work to take their mind off things. You get them to give you a shopping list, and you're engaging. While I think of that, those folks we rescued from certain death at our own expense. That ship they left behind. We putting a claim in on that salvage.
It is a legitimate salvage, of course.
So why don't you make the claim on that, and we can pick it up.
Right? With the damage from that, it'd be lucky if we can recover much for it, but yeah, I'm sure we can get something out of that. This was their destination anyway, so they're not really heading back.
Okay, well, we'll reach out to our people and see if we can rustle up a few jobs. Right, you just take care of the ship for now.
Did the captain have anything on the books as we were heading out this way?
Just a private matter that I'm taking care of it might actually give us a few funds that I'm sure he won't mind us putting into repairs. So, yeah, I'm just going to borrow Sky for delivery, and then
Delivery. What delivery?
like I said, the captain's private matter.
The I should probably be aware of what's going on. Orders from the captain.
You definitely should if it was your business. Yeah.
Would you like to read a charge situation here, Blyss?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
sorry, read another's thoughts, which has always gone so well for this group.
Beautifully. Let's see.
Hey, somebody finally understands another character.
Right.
So yeah, you get to ask one anytime during the course of your interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. So when Maze starts taking that sort of like that tone that's like, I'm not telling you everything, mind your own business, that sort of thing. I think that I take a tone that's very like, well, I don't know. What does Maze respond to? Like, what sort of approach does Maze respond to? Like, is it from authority? Like, I'm gonna my intent is to find out what you intend to do, because clearly you're hiding something. But by this point, I should have sort of figured out, or maybe this is the point. This is the point where I figure out: do you respond to an authoritative question? Do you respond to a like, oh, hey, we're both on the same side. We're both trying to do the same thing, or is it more something more subtle? Like I'm trying to trick something out of you, like get you to say something offhand, unexpectedly.
Yeah. I think last week, right? I know Blyss wasn't there, but based on the captain and Maze's interaction, right? She does not really respect authority of itself, right? So, at least not where she thinks she is like doing her job, right, or fulfilling an obligation that goes beyond that authority. So, I think while Blyss is not on the crew that long, maybe they have seen that aspect of Maze, or maybe the way the crew talk about Maze kind of leads Blyss in that direction. So, I think you like the way you get the kind of truth out of her is to be necessary in the task, or
So I think that in that case, the tack I take is, of course, captain's business is captain's business. Well, then I'll be. There's a couple other threads I need to tie up. Possible jobs we can get in on. I do need to know where you'll be going for to make sure that we will be able to depart on schedule. So just let me know. Keep me on the in the loop.
So when is our scheduling time, given that we don't have a job?
I think it's based on how long it's going to take Cora to get us mobile again.
Okay. So like when I come back with the payment for the captain's private job, we'll be able to send them out to get their parts, and then we'll be able to leave?
Something like that.
Okay. Well, I'll check in with you as soon as I get back. Blyss, thanks very much.
Yeah, do keep me in the loop, though.
Absolutely. I'll check in with you, and I'll make sure the funds get into the ship's account as soon as I get back, if not before.
Yeah, and so I want to check in. I didn't hear if it was necessarily asked, but did we actually answer like the question that you were going for? Because you can also ask these sort of out of character, and we'll work out in character how you figured it out.
Oh yeah, I do want to sort of figure out what you intend on doing.
Okay. Sorry, I thought from the way you were phrasing it, I thought you were saying like, how can I get this character to like bring me into the loop?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, Maze intends to like make the delivery and come back with the money, which is the ships, for sure. So yeah, I think you get a sense that maybe she also intends to keep the captain's confidence. Maybe that is the kind of key.
Yeah.
The key thing that you're really trying to lever her around to is to give up that secret that the captain specifically asked her not to tell you, right? So I think you obviously don't know the details, but like, she's keeping her confidence maybe is what you get out of that. And
I know what you're trying to do. Chet knows what you're trying to do, but now Blyss has an idea of what you're trying to do as well.
Yeah. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I think that works out. That fills Blyss in on, well, there's something going on, and you're making a delivery for payment.
Mm-hmm. And as we see Maze go off to deal with that, I'm curious, what is Bliss's? What do we see of like Blyss as they are thinking about because they have just figured something is up with Maze and this shipment.
Yeah. So I think that I'm gonna head to my quarters to like take another look at first to take another look at the books. This is after I told Cora to get me a list of what we need to acquire, like categorize it by what's strictly necessary and what we can get by without for how long. Then went to just double check the book, see if like there's some way the funds can be scrounged up, and I'm gonna check some communication logs and transfer logs, because if there's cargo that is being delivered There's got to be some record of it.
Yeah. And I think that as we kind of. So, a couple things. I think that definitely, even with this payment, you definitely would have enough to, like, try to make a purchase of the parts.
Yeah.
There is a move for, like, making big purchases that I'll probably ask you to go to later. But I think as you're going over the books, there is a set of regular payments from a name that has, unlike a lot of the others that are of corporations of companies, this one is just marked as Z. So I'm wondering. I think kind of, rather than kind of get bogged out in a little bit of like the minutia of fishing, because we kind of went into what that looks like in broad strokes. I am curious, Zarza, since you like, are you going through? Are you like going to be fishing with them for the day?
Yeah, I would like to. Like, I think like this is a good way to make some connections with the people here.
Cool. Yeah, in that case, I want to ask, as we kind of like shift to seeing Zarza on this ship that is going fishing for these jellies, what like role do we see Zarza like performing on the ship? Like, I know you brought that harpoon with you, and as well as some other hunting tools, but I'm wondering.
I think like she is like trying to follow through with like whatever is asked of her, but I think like the she has some expertise like hunting animals and maybe not with this jellyfish specifically, but I will see. I imagine her like mounting the harpoon and like trying to eat and like catching some jellyfish with it.
Cool, awesome. And I think as we sort of see the ship, like, how is it you mount this harpoon? Like, are you like going spacewalking? Is there like a kind of turret that you are in on the ship itself?
I imagine like a turret because I
Cool.
think like spacewalking for it might be like a lot of work
Yeah,
that maybe it isn't as necessary.
cool. Yeah. So I would like, as you go swooping in, and I think we hear over sort of the comms of the ship, Centea kind of giving orders, and now I know you brought the tools, but you want to wait. Give them time to come in before we fire off any of the harpoons. Fire them off too soon, and we're likely to just scare them off. Fire them off too late, and they'll get a chance to try to disable the ship's engines. You seem like a woman who knows what she's doing with a harpoon, but it's an important job. And I think, why don't you tell us what it looks like as Zarza lines up her shot?
I think like the harpoon is like it's just like a name, but like I think the Like the mechanics
Yeah,
of it are very
we're playing
different.
Alas for the Awful Sea, so I kind of end up like flashing back to 19th century
For sure.
terminology a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's probably what it's called, right? Like it
Yeah.
does the same thing a harpoon does, but I think it's like a more like a laser gun or something like that with uh with some sort of retracting like pull that's
Mhm.
just like I imagine like an energy beam like capturing the jellyfish and like attracting them to the ship.
Cool. Awesome. Give me a roll here with act by force. When you act with force to seize or secure your hold on something, you roll plus brawn.
Seven.
Cool. So why don't you go ahead and choose 2 here? And the suffer little harm will not necessarily be to you because that's not entirely fictionally appropriate here, but it would probably be more to the crew and the ship that you were flying with.
I think suffer little harm and take definite hold of it or of the situation.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that you are definitely showing off your skills here. Why don't you like give us the image then as Zarza, you manage to sort of like bring in this hall really.
I think like I think like I fire a couple like shots that don't actually hit, and like when I finally hit it, it's like this like this energy beam that pulls the jellyfish to like maybe like the nets. I imagine like the
Mm-hmm.
nets on the ship, like they are like the nets we described previously, like maybe like the harpoons are mounted to like attract the jellyfish to the net, and like trying to catch whatever the nets aren't catching. And so when all the jellyfish are actually on the net, like the next retract inside the ship, and we catch and we retrieve the jellyfish from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is a like good haul. And there's definitely some cheer on the ship as they are loading them into the cargo, and Centea kind of goes through inspecting them all. And let me see here. Just needed to. Yeah, as she kind of goes through checking each of them, she gives one of them a kick and shouts, "Damn it all!" Are you more like she kind of gestures over to you and the rest of the crew.
I think I will approach her and said like what's happening.
It is nothing on you or the rest of the crew. It's, well, look at this creature, and she gestures down at the jelly that you have, one of the jellies you've brought in, And you can tell, and this is something that I'm not sure if you had been appraised of the situation, but this jelly has, you can tell, going through slivers of its kind of like gelatinous meat are slivers of what look like crystals. It's something we've been noticing. It's something we've been noticing with some of the recent hauls. They, ever since the Munov colony broke apart, I don't know what it is, but something's been poisoning these creatures, and if the crystals are there, they're poisonous to anyone eating them as well. I counted at least about half of our haul had signs of poisoning. And I think, and she looks at the crew, and you'll all get your pay. I can guarantee you that. There's not going to be as much of it as you expected. And there's definitely some grumbling and shouting from the crew. And like the captain and Centea is like looking down at this jelly. I'm curious what you do, Zarza.
I think like I listened to the previous episode I was in, and like I remember like we like the
Yes,
the
you're dead.
body of my dead crewmate was like was having this sort of crystallization.
Yeah.
Did Mace arrive to this conclusion, or like I don't remember it.
Maze arrived to that conclusion, but I'm willing to say if you were like in some way in the background of the scene, because you did like carry the body in.
Yeah,
I think
so.
If you'd been there last week, Zarza would definitely have been in on that scene. So yeah, I think it's completely fair to make the connection, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like this information is probably of interest to Mace. Like, how did our crewmate become like infected with this thing? Like, how did they catch like this? And like I think I'm gonna like ask Centella for more information. Like, is this some known disease, or is there a cure?
It's not. Well, it's not a known disease. It's. Look, we all know that the mining operations here release. They're not always entirely. As clean as they should be, and particularly when we abandoned the Munov colony, there wasn't necessarily the intent of keeping things, of making certain everything broke down in the right way. It might be related to that, but it certainly happened after it was abandoned. But it has definitely made things more difficult here than they needed to be.
So the mining operations are causing like for us to lose our food.
You could say that, but, well, most of us would not be here or have a home to begin with if it weren't for these mining operations. Well, no, I think she probably won't go that far, but she will say, it does seem that way, she says.
I think like Zarza is gonna hold on her thoughts for now. Like I don't want to scare Centella, but I will for sure like to discuss this with Blyss and Mace. Like maybe how did our crewmate got this thing, and how can we help these people?
Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, because you kind of talked about yourself, like thinking and keeping it to yourself. Are you sensing what's beyond?
Yeah, if I think like if I see like some connection between like now that I understand like there's some connection between these jellyfishes and my dead crewmate and like the mining operations, I think I would like that.
Sure. Give me a roll then with plus beyond.
Again.
Cool. So you receive visions and truths. I think you recall. Yeah, I think that this is the thing that you see. You recall that on the ship you felt a presence on the relinquishment vessel, and I think you feel it on this jelly as well. If in fact you feel, in fact, it has only grown stronger as you have reached out now. That it is almost like a energy that emanates this system, because we did talk a little bit about how the system is sort of almost a communications amplifier. And yeah, I think that you see the thing that is most obvious to you, that you see the Exaba corporate, you see Mardine Exaba on one end and Blyss on the other. Between them is a floating sphere, a sphere of crystal. And you can tell that if events are not interrupted, if things are allowed to continue as they are, that this entire system may be poisoned as the sphere breaks apart and begins to drift and spread as like a cloud. Does that make sense to you? Does that work for you, Zarza?
Yeah, for sure. I think this is very very interesting development. I think like I would like to bring this up with Centella, but I think I would like to talk about this with Blyss and Mace first before
Uh-huh.
like approaching the rest of the Aubrey here.
Well, awesome, cool. So what I then want to do is jump over. Well, yeah. So I'm gonna ask Maze first. Maze, you said that you were going to make this delivery with Sky, right?
Yeah, I think given Panax isn't around, maybe Sky is our next kind of port of call in terms of making the delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Panic seemed to be getting along just fine with that bartender.
Yeah, he stayed behind at the bar just to make sure everything is in order.
Oh yes, you left in the last 15 minutes. So the bartender is our union organizer, and you didn't see the last 15 minutes, Zarza. So the bartender is our union organizer, and
Panix's new school.
yes, Panix's new love. But yeah, I think that like as you are like pushing these shipments, I assume you kind of have some kind of, I don't know, hover cart. That seems like the kind of thing that we'd have in a sci-fi setting to move goods around. I think probably, I assume you have Sky pushing it because you, after all, are the doctor.
Yeah.
You have a brawn of -1.
I'm making sure no one's in the way as Sky like pushes it from behind or something like that.
Yeah, Sky is I don't recall. We don't usually make shipments in this way. And again, she almost says Maze.
Yeah, that's because this is like a private shipment for the captain. So yeah, we're nothing is quite standard for this one.
And she kind of is looking private, and she kind of looks a little bit at the cases, which we have established are labeled as government requisitions. Is the captain in government?
I mean, we're all in government at some level, right? Governed or ungovernable. Hey, listen, I'm not asking questions I don't think I should know the answers to. Maybe you can take it up with him when he wakes up.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine, Maze. I trust the captain. And she kind of gives a little like, so, I know, I suppose depending on how long this takes, I know that Blyss said that I wasn't to do any shore leave today while we were here. But if you were to tell Blyss that it took an hour longer than it did,
I mean, we're going to a bar, so if you really just want to kick back your heels, we can catch a drink together. But if there's something else you really need to do while you're in port, then sure, I could cover for you. Depends what you're looking for, though.
Mm-hmm. And sure, I could get a drink with you, Maze.
Yeah, excellent. They have this really weird thing in the bar, like this, I don't know, Jello shots or something like that. I don't know. It's really weird. You might find it awesome. Like, they do a solid Temurian ale if that's more your bag. So, who knows?
Yeah, and I think as you are making this delivery, Maze, well, no, I think we will kind of let this delivery go where it needs to. Yeah, sorry. As we are kind of seeing you enter the bar, I think we were probably pulling around to the backside of the bar, right?
Yeah. With all the other deliveries, right?
Mm-hmm. And it is, yeah, we'll say it is Zenith is there to meet you. And he unlatches the back receiving port of the bar and directs you in. And he also eyes Sky and looks at you and says, is this one to be trusted?
Well, I mean, she's just a regular crew member helping us out. I think she might appreciate a small tab at the bar, you know. This is maybe.
Go ahead.
I don't know if Maze has signaled that, you know, to be trusted, but doesn't know necessarily what's in the crates. So leaving that to his discretion, what he feels should happen here.
Well, all right. Certainly, you can go back and tell the person out there right now to give you a ale house. And he looks back to you, Maze, and cracks open the cases. And we kind of go through. He inspects them one by one. It looks like it's here, and he hands over a cred stick to you. The payment as agreed. I'm wondering, though, Maze is... Well, we have some... You seem like someone adept with your hands. You said you were a doctor, right?
I'm the ship surgeon, yeah.
Well, it might be if you're looking for something to do while you're in port. Some folks I know saw the state of your ship, and they say you could certainly use the help. We're going to be pulling a certain operation this evening. It might be a little dangerous, and we could certainly appreciate having a doctor on call who could help us out.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I'm not needed, but you can call me. I'll hang around.
Well, when I say on call, I mean I need you here at the bar this evening. Make certain that the rest of your crew doesn't know where you'll be. Well, or that anyone will know where you be. The sort of plausible deniability.
Okay. Don't suppose you've got any people who won't be going on this job who could maybe help us with some of our mechanical difficulties?
I've got folks that could take a look at it for you, sure. I'm not going to be able to put up the money for the repairs, obviously, but I could at least get you some help with for the parts, I should say, but I can at least help you a bit with the labor.
Yeah, that's fair. Plus, it means the ship is unlikely to leave while it's being repaired, right? So, why don't I get those details from you, and I can send Sky in there over, and I will just be mysteriously absent for a few hours.
Oh, yes, I'm sure none of this will set off Bliss's alarms.
Nope. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure if you have anything else to do in that scene, because I think Maze will be calling Blyss from whatever passes for a payphone in the docks.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And yeah, actually, on that, I did want to kind of shift over finally to Blyss. So I'm wondering, are you still on the ship going through the books? Are you out trying to source parts?
Yeah, so I think that when I saw this, these transactions, monetary transactions, I probably did some digging, but found as much as I could. Like that, I found that they were there. There's something up, but it's somewhat obscured. So I turned my attention to sourcing parts. So I'm got the list of necessities and the wish list from Cora, and headed to the shipyard that's nearest the docks. See if I could talk with the yardmaster and see if we could cut a deal. See what we can get in terms of used parts if we can. Yeah. Trying to get us to our next port of call. You're muted.
Oh yeah, cool. And let me just see here. Yeah, I think that we kind of like I'll go ahead and ask this. You're kind of going to the markets, you said, to look for used parts.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, what does the kind of like you come to a shop, and I'm wondering, what is the sculpture of used part? What is the sculpture of used parts that like marks the entrance to the shop?
Right. So I think that it is. It's like there's a class of vehicle of ship that is, it's like archaic design of ship that is no longer like the like it's sort of like a classic car sort of situation. People still run these rigs, but they're not really used for any sort of commercial endeavors. But they have a very distinctive like filigree involved in them. There was a hallmark of this early shipyard. And so it's pieces of bulkhead from one of these early ships with all of this intricate filigree and design work. It's not a practical thing, but damn, they looked good.
Awesome. And as you come inside, I'm wondering what marks its proprietor, Lita, as some I'll throw this out to Maze, Lita, as someone who has spent a large portion of her life working on ships.
I think maybe we see, we haven't really gone into like how our ships work or anything, but I think maybe there's physiological signs that Lita has spent a long time in zero G or on kind of ship's atmospheres. So maybe there's kind of some she's like quite tall or kind of slightly weakened musculature, or maybe there's just like a look in their eyes that looks like she spent far too much time spacewalking and looking out at the void, right?
Great. And Zarza, this Lita is a species we haven't seen before in our run. What is the kind of, if we're kind of boiling aliens down, what is like the kind of defining unique feature of her species, like that we can see?
I think maybe like they had like a strong bioluminescent element in her body, like a lot of like spots that glow like fluorescent lights.
Cool, yeah. And Lita greets you as you come in. She is, as we said, like a tall, like thin woman, with like and her kind of bioluminescence like flashes a little bit along her skin as you come in. Yes, can I help you?
Hey, I'm got a list of parts I'm trying to source, get some repairs done. We're docked in the yard, and need to get ourselves back up and running.
And she kind of looks over your list, and she looks back up at you. Are you flying a second series?
Yeah, it's gets us where we need to go.
Oh, I know, and it is a far sight. They tried to sell the third series as an improvement, but really they just added a few extra bells and whistles at the cost of engine longevity. You know what I mean?
I say the same thing, and really the extra storage capacity in the second series, it's.
I know. But now, what were you? Did you what? Now, what were you doing that you need all these parts for? Did you weld one of the engines?
We were in a pretty sticky situation. Had to do some emergency on the fly repairs, and I tell you what, not everybody on the crew is quite well versed in as they need to be in how to properly make repairs. We'll say that. I do what I can, to keep everybody on track, but can't always can't be looking over everybody's shoulders all the time. Now I try to keep standards high. You know how it is, though.
I suppose I can hear you on that.
And then we pulled a hard burn for the crown. But by the time we got here, as you can see, the damage was done.
Well, I can hear that. It's going to cost you a pretty penny, though, to get the engines back up to standards.
Now, standards might be different between different shipyards, of course. Our standards, my standards, are that we need to make it to the next few ports.
Yeah, she gives you a little look. I mean, not to put too much of a point on it, but when you're flying through space, standards are what is sticking between you and a cold death in the void.
Well, I mean, when you put it that way, that's it's hard to argue. So what's tell me what's the damage looking like?
Well, and she gives. Oh, go ahead.
How much is it going to set us back?
Yeah, I think that here I'm going to ask. I had forgotten to initially add it, but if you go to the basic moves, there is a roll there now for big purchase. When you make a big purchase that costs far more than you have on hand, roll. At a +1 if the buyer thinks you're a trustworthy, wealthy, or influential. Do you feel that I don't feel necessarily that she thinks you are any of those things yet? Maybe trustworthy, but if you want, I could give you that if you want. If you think you have that.
Trustworthy.
Could we? I'm not sure what the timing is here, but if Maze is able to put a good word through from Zenith or Contact, maybe that works.
Yeah, actually, you got that. Sure, I think that works. I think that, well, I did hear some of Zenith's folks gave you the okay. So I can give you give you a bit of the kind of friends and family discount.
Okay, so this is perfect because
exactly
Blyss has never heard the name Zenith before.
Exactly.
And obviously Blyss is not on the ship, so the call, there's a message waiting for them from Maze.
Yeah, there's like you cut back to Bliss's quarters, and there's like that blinking light.
Yeah.
So give me a roll.
When Lita says, "Oh, the Zenith's people say good things about the Fast Folly," I'm like piques my interest, and you see my eyebrow raise, like Zenith's people. Well, we do try to keep a tidy reputation wherever we go. That's something I might circle back to. Let's see how this roll goes, though.
Yeah, so give me a roll with +1 then.
2d6 plus 1. Yeah.
Cool. So that is an 8. Looks like.
Give me just a second. Sorry. Sorry about that.
No problem, but that is an 8.
All right. So
you'll need to choose 3 that you'll need to get cold hard evidence that you have all the cash. You'll be dirt poor afterwards. It's going to take a long time to organize, or it has a problem, flaw, or defect not apparent until after purchase.
I think we'll be dirt poor afterwards. She did say it's going to cost a pretty penny. Because the the Mark II is no longer in production. It's going to take some time to source some of the parts. They're no longer used, and I think it would be very interesting to have a problem, flaw, or defect that is not apparent until after purchase, maybe even after we are already departed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she says, give me a bit of time, but I should be able to source these parts.
How much time are we talking? What are we? Because time's money, and the more time we're sitting in port, the
in that case, I think you're going to be spending a fair amount of money here in port, if that saying holds true.
Well,
I'd find something to do that pays while you wait on this, because I wouldn't want to see you ending up on look, it's gonna cost you. It'll take at least a few days for me to organize all this.
Well, we do need to get it covered, so I guess we'll settle in and pick up some local jobs. You said that Zarza's folks.
Zenith.
Pardon me. Sorry, Zarza. You said that Zenith's folks pass along good word. Do they have a local spot I could swing by?
She gives you a little bit of a look, because she's like, you want me to tell you where to find your friends?
Well, we haven't been here in so long.
Sure, I guess I can. He's got a bar, right out here, and she kind of pulls up a city map and marks it out for you. You can usually find him or some of his folks around there.
Same place as always. I figured that he would have moved shop to some fancier digs by now.
She gives a laugh and says, "Come on now, you know that Zenith always says he likes them cheap."
Yeah, and I'm gonna not push my luck any further than I have to, and make my exit.
Cool.
And yeah, I think that I'm gonna make my way towards Xena's place.
Cool. So yeah, I think as we will fade there, and I want to open initially here on Maze for a moment, and we'll probably start to wrap some other characters in. We'll see soon. But Maze, you are. So did you actually? You said you sent Sky back.
Yeah, so I think I would have, or at least if Sky was happy with sitting for to have a drink, and that was all the shore leave she really was looking for, then yeah, send her back to the ship, and then maybe call back to leave a message on Bliss's comms to say, hey. Visit Lita's in the shipyard for a good deal, and then maybe head back to Zenith's place to nurse a nail while I'm on call, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think as you are waiting there, I think the day draws on, and you hear a commotion coming from out back in the loading bay. And let's go with a Temurian bursts in and says, Zenith's here with one of ours. There's been an accident. We're gonna need you right now, Doc.
Yeah, so obviously I would have maybe had to send back to the ship for my for a mobile surgeon's kit, right? Because I know what's gonna go on. But yeah, terrible accident, unforeseen. Lucky I was here, right? So yeah, grab the bag and yeah, follow them back into the loading bay area. And I think if anyone is to come in while I'm out back, I think like you will recognize Maze's coat or scarf or whatever hanging on the edge of her booth, right?
Yeah. And Maze, you come in, and it is looking pretty bad. With Zenith has helped a well, let's see here. Realize, let's just give them. Oh, sorry about this. There we go. A Naroon, who that's what we'll call our photo, our bioluminescent species. A Naroon man onto a workbench, and he looks like he has suffered a pretty bad. It looks like probably if you were to like go in not knowing anything, it looks like he has suffered a blaster wound to the shoulder. He is bleeding pretty badly as you come in. Maze, good you're here. I'm trying to keep the bleeding under control, but I'm not a trained doctor. I just have some first aid knowledge.
Well, good that you're here. We'll you keep pressure on that wound, and I'm gonna kit up, see what I can do. I think maybe that some of the bioluminescence is kind of leaking out because of the trauma, and we can kind of see maybe Zenith's hands react. The bioluminescence is kind of splurging off his skin now as it gets leaked on.
Great. Yeah, and he looks over at the other person with you, the person with him who brought you in. Now go keep an eye out front, make certain that nobody comes back here. And I think as you get into work here, Maze, give me your roll move.
Okay, so +2 for surgery.
Yeah.
That's an 11 total.
Cool. So yeah, as we see you getting to work back here, keeping calm in the face of all this, Mixed Bliss, you are coming up upon this bar. As you step inside, I think there are two things that greets you. You first off see Maze's scarf that has been left, as we said, over a chair in the front. But there is a Temurian man who looks at you and says, "We're closed right now. If you would, we're not serving anybody. You can go find help somewhere. You can go find a drink somewhere else."
I'm just here to see Zarza and
Xena.
and I'm sorry, those Z names.
That's okay.
I was just visiting some friends who have two dogs who are also both named with Z names. It's like a thing for them. Too many Z names getting thrown around. I'm not here for a drink. I just need to see Zenith. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, and my associate Maze, the doc, is here already.
Oh, okay. So this is definitely a acting under pressure.
Yeah.
When you act under pressure, try to hide the truth or endure a force against you. You roll plus balance.
There we go. Got a 10.
Oh, cool. And I think that there's like this moment where he like gives like the two of you are staring each other down, and fine. I guess if you're with the doc, you must be fine. You must be good with Zenith. So
I'm sure that they'll do a cursory like pat down. I'll like show my blaster pistol. Like it's so that they know like there's no hidden weapons. I display my weapons.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah. And I think as you're doing this work, Maze, Zenith gets up and puts his hand to his own blaster, and looking at Mixed Bliss as they enter. Who the hell are you, and what are you doing in my bar?
So, do you want to go first, Chet?
I think you hear that as you're working on this person, and surely
And
it
I
draws
think-
your attention.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing, right, is that Zenith is supposed to be applying pressure or maybe doing something else since then, and like there's a definite like reaction in the patient, and I think I just like put out my hand, but maybe I'm not in my usual space, and like the clamp isn't there where I want it, and like I snap my fingers, and it just happens to be in Bliss's direction, right, and like clamp, come on.
Yeah. So Zenith says, "Who the hell are you? What are you doing in my bar?" And I say, "I'm here with the doc," and I walk over and pick up the clamp and hand it to Maze, but I don't let go of it. As you reach out to take it from me, I hold on to it to make sure that you look up and see. Like I want to look you in the eyes. Because this is a bit more involved than just a delivery for the captain.
Do you say that, or is that like the look I understand in Bliss's eyes? Yeah.
That's conveyed visually.
Yeah. And I think like Maze's reaction is to like, I don't know, like shrug, like whatever, at this kind of, I don't know, like, teacher or, like a senior staff member, like exactly what you expect from a bosun who finds out that you've been, cribbing behind his back, right? So like, Maze doesn't care, right? Just hand over the clasp and we can talk later after I save this guy's life, is the kind of maybe infuriating flare in her eyes, right?
Yeah. You give like a slight tug on the implement, and like that whole thing is transmitted, and then I let go. As we're gonna discuss this later.
Mm-hmm. And I think because I do want to, given our time, shift us over to seeing what is happening with Zarza. Because Zarza, I know that you have gone to meet with both Maze and Blyss, who have both left the ship under mysterious circumstances. I'm wondering where Zarza ends, where Zarza is going.
I'm not sure. Like, I think if like they aren't in the ship, like I would maybe like to know more about like if like knowing that I don't know where to find them unless like I wait for them or something. But like maybe would like to find more about the Aubrey plans and in like the facilities, like maybe try to spy a bit, see if I can learn anything about it.
Yeah, cool. Hmm. Yeah, I think as you are going to scope that out, I do think that, well, yeah, I think that. So how are you going about like doing that then? Like, are you like sneaking about? Are you casing the place? Are you actually breaking in?
I think I will start by like sneaking about, like try to see if there's any way I can approach, maybe get a better sense of where are they keeping them, like if there's some facility in particular where they are safe or something like that.
Yeah, I think that as you draw closer to their main office, there's definitely it gets the this pool gets big, deep more and more. And I think that you definitely see like it is actually like visible from the outside because this is like a jewel of like the of this office that you can see that part of the building there is this large glass enclosed like hothouse that is like a part of the building. And I think the other thing that you are drawn to is that sitting in front of the building and occasionally being jeered at by the occasional passing security officer is uh, ecstasis. And it's clear that things have not been going well, or at least that people have not been treating him well. Like a few people have clearly like seen this person who is like sitting out like in front of the building refusing to leave and have like I don't know, I assume a few of the security officers have thrown things at him like pieces of moldy food. Someone's dumped probably some dirty water on him, things like that. But he's sitting out there.
I think I will approach him, like try to see what's going on. I for the plans, I would like to know: is there like, do I get like an idea of how are the plants getting used? Like what is being done to them?
I think the idea that you get this is not like some kind of they're being used for research. This is they are just being used to show off how wealthy they are. Like we are wealthy enough to keep all these all these endangered species to preserve them, by which we mean like keep them in our like private zoo.
Yeah, like a menagerie or something like that.
Yes.
That's that's interesting. Yeah, for sure. Then I will like approach Stasis and like ask him like what's going on here.
I didn't expect to see you here. You're Zarza, right?
Yeah.
I am well, I guess you could say I'm engaged in at least a protest. I had some disagreements with my sibling, but I'm going to keep true to at least my vision of what the relinquishment should be.
And what are you hoping to achieve?
The Exhibit Corporation was not willing to listen to reason or an appeal to their better senses. So I'm out here using my body to shame them. I'm going to stay out here as long as I am able. And whatever they do to me, I will endure it.
I think it's very brave of you to protest like this, but do you think it would actually mean something to the people around here?
And there's definitely like a sense of not really being certain of uncertainty about him. I don't know if it will mean something here, but What I do know is that the offer that the Exhiba Corporation made, it would mean betraying who I am and what I believe. And I don't know if it means something to the people here. I know that doing this means something to me, at least.
I understand that, and I respect your decision to do this, but if we have another way to change things, like, would you help us, or would you stick to this protest?
I. So, I'm wondering, just to kind of clarify if what's happening here, what well, I guess no. We'll play this out a little bit more, and we'll see where it goes. Well, no, I will ask. What do you want here? What do you want? Sorry.
I like I think Zarza is like interested in forming a rebellion of some sort, and like, yeah, she's like that, and like I I think like Stasis has a lot of influence with the relinquishment, and like maybe if we can get like the Aubrey in, and like the union in, and the relinquishment to help, like maybe we can go somewhere and make some lasting
Cool.
change.
Yeah, cool. I think that he looks up to you and says, I can help with that. I need to know, though, that what you're planning isn't going to... It's not going to involve... that you're going to do your best, that whatever you're planning, you're going to do your best to make certain that no violence comes of that no one gets hurt.
I think we can for sure try to do that. Like, if if our number is high enough, then maybe they will surrender, and like they will know like they can fight all of us. But I can promise, like, I can promise it isn't going to happen, but I can promise I'll try. We'll try.
Cool. Give me a roll with plus beauty here.
An 8.
Cool. So on an 8, they change the terms themselves or demand concrete assurance first. They nod and look at you, and I think I'll work with you, but I'm so lost, I feel, since I've come here. Would you sit here a moment and pray with me?
And I think I will. Like I just like silently nod and like sit with them.
Mm-hmm. And we see this image of, because we kind of talked about how the prayer involves a kind of exchange of like the prayer, like the string of prayer beads between between multiple participants, and we end on that image. And I think that as we see the two of you praying, there is a wrenching sound of an alarm ringing in the distance. And as we go back to what is going on with Blyss and Maze, Zenith gives a nod and says, "That's the processing plant shutting down. Now now Exaba is going to have to negotiate with us." And I think that is where we will leave things for the day. Thanks everyone for showing up and playing. I had a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to having, hopefully, I said this last week, but hopefully we will have not just a different arrangement of 3 players show up, but all 4 players. I will be seeing everyone then. Bye all, and have a good rest of the week.